How are you both today?
Hello, Charles. How are you?
Doing very well.
Hi.
I am more than thrilled to start this conversation and to see where we're going to go. I am always delighted to spend time with physical performers and people who actually have a definition of clown after their name. That gives me great joy, and I know that our listeners and viewers with Circus Talk are going to thrill to that as well. So I have a couple of words that you've given me, including that word clown, from both of you. Um, Naomi, I have a word that's say performer, clown, director, and teacher. And Ricardo has words performer, clown, director, and teacher, and member. And I think there's going to be more to that, though. So I want to leap into what the more is already. So, Naomi, uh, we will have seen a paragraph on the website that tells us who you are, more words than what I've just now used. What should we really know about you as a person, Naomi?
Wow, you're going straight in for the for the deep web version. Um, well, curiously enough, we were talking about our coincidental use of the color red. I'm a person that loves red. Yeah. Uh, Favorite color. And curiously enough, Ricardo has got the second element because he's got he's got the red cat, and this is my second thing that I love. If we're talking about personal, no, I don't know, the like things in our life that are important. So I'm a big cat lover. So there's a red cat in Ricardo's background. And also to say that I am an eternal foreigner. I live in the condition of a foreigner because I'm actually British, but I've been living in Brazil for 27 years, working with Lume. And living, establishing my life here. And I think that that's something that has contributed a lot to me as a person, as an artist. Everything to do with who I am is this condition of being part of something, but slightly apart. So being part and slightly apart changes a little bit our point of view, how we see things. I live in a language and a culture that's not my own. But I've made it my own, so it's we kind of create our identity always, our entire life. But I've really recreated, my identity here in Brazil. And it's been an incredible journey for me living here in this last, literally traveling to the other side of the world, literally from one hemisphere to another. Yeah, exactly. I'm never, I'd never danced samba. I'd never been to club. I'd never drank caipirinha. I had all that to experience when I got here. I became, some years ago, we always joke about this, that I became Lume's official samba teacher outside of Brazil. Imagine that, if that's
Very good technique.
Yeah. If that's possible, anything's possible.
So, Ricardo, Naomi has launched the challenge. She went to the deep dive to the deep web. Tell us about you. What do we need to know about you?
Yeah, well, I come from a very small city, very small, a kind of traditional in a way, in Brazilian way, where everyone knows each other, always around families and And I think there are some similarities with Naomi in the sense that very early, when I was 15, and then I want to live there. So when I was 17, I left there with this dream of becoming a person from the theater. I used to do theater then, and I left to study theater where we live now in Campinas, Barão Geraldo. And by nature, I was, and I still am, very, very shy and very, I would say, a bit introspective. So very early, I perceived that this place, this territory, that very soon also became the clowning world, that was my passion from the beginning, and the theater, was a kind of my salvation, where I could be myself and express myself and connect to the world in another way that I wasn't able, and I think I still I'm not, to do in like a kind of daily life or this. So, and then I became inside Brazil, and my town is very near here, but I left a very strong culture and became like a migrant or an immigrant, or because I went to another world. And then we can like speak later more about that. But then I met Lumi, we were in the beginning, starting. This is 39 years ago. And then I became a kind of traveler, because my work and Lumi's work and our work took me to everywhere in the world. So I could be like a traveler, like a space traveler, time traveler, cultural traveler. And then this make me, then the clown world, the universe that is so powerful, and you go to live in a tribe, in a kind of net that is very old, and at the same time, all the time renewing and renewing. That is part of the tradition. It's not dead. It's not a museum. So I think this is my characteristic. I feel much, much, much alive when I'm working, when I am in this creational or creative mood with other people that like us, that we dialogue and we exchange. And so I think that I see myself someone who was saved by the theater and the laughter and all this space, time, or way to see the world that can give you strength, even in the most weaknesses that you can expose to people. So, and for that, I'm very grateful for all the people I met and every opportunity like this one, and my students, all the audiences and masters and colleagues that is part of that. So more or less basic, I could say that.
So I love that we can start with laughter and gratitude. Something tells me, because you've already launched the word creator in the middle of this thing that you're using to describe yourself. I asked this question about who you are as people. Who are you as a creator, Naomi?
It's very interconnected, isn't it? It's so interconnected. And it was lovely to hear Ricardo speaking. Obviously, I know all that from him, but to hear him say it, because I agree. I think for most artists, art is a salvation. We manage to express those things that we just don't manage to express in our daily life. So I feel that I left my country, my culture, but for me, it's been, I feel in a different way from Ricardo, but maybe in similar ways, that the creative act, art as a creative act, it's one of the most basic human necessities, except that in our society, which has become something quite bizarre and distorted and I think not very anymore very alien. I feel our society has become somewhere very alienating. Now everything is separated. So, you know, if you want to be creative, or if you want to express yourself, or if you want to be in contact with yourself or with something beyond, you know, that then you have to be an artist. And of course, if you feel that, and you're not an artist, but you want to be in touch with that, you can go to the theater and see a show, you know. But how it's such a basic necessity for the human being, you know, since time, you know, bygone, to dance, to sing, to paint, to tell jokes, to laugh, to storytell, to, you know. So we were all once artists. That was just part of, you know, and then everything got separated out, you know, and the, you know, the ones that are better for you know, doing the accounts, and others are better for you know, building bridges, and others are better for destroying a whole load of stuff, or, you know, possessing everything, you know, and hoarding everything. Anyway, well, let's not go in there into that. But so I feel that it's the biggest way of living, of being alive as a human being. So that's why I feel it's very connected. And then me as a creator, it's just been a journey to discover who I am, and what I believe and what moves me as a person. I can channel that into some kind of artistic expression that can be shared with other human beings, you know, and that we can find a conversation that maybe takes us out of this alienation or feeling of angst and anxiety, and we can connect on another level. So of course, I would love to do that 24 hours a day, you know, all the time. It's very hard. It's very challenging. So thank goodness we have also our creative space. But I think
we
it's
have holidays. You know, it's very good also.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So with that, Ricardo, then yeah, I think I want to hear you and how you may echo and or take us on another path. Are you going to explode what Naomi says?
Yeah, I think yes. I totally agree that it's connect with the first question, because I think I am very much about doing. Do you know? I like to, of course, I like to think about what I do, and being in Lumi. That is also, there is another side that is the reflection. Is not a reflection, is a mirror. No, but it is well to think about. Sorry, my English sometimes I will mix here, but but I'm very impulsive and I like to do. No, and it's connected because, like I said before, I am this one who has a small village inside. And also, which is this difficult to. So what I like, it's what I do. I think even when I did normal or more text-based theater, and then physical theater, and my clowning way of exist, it's simple. It's this person, this figure, who creates an environment that gives the possibility for the people who are there to do a meeting, a real encounter, and then where they can experience and to have a common experience, a collective experience that can be in different levels, of course, with what is being said, and also more what the body is being, how the bodies are being engaged. So when I do a physical theater piece, or my clowning or my street performance, for example, what I look for is how I create this kind of communion, this collective that it's a small window in the life of everybody, but I believe strongly that is very important. It's exactly what Naomi said, what misses today, and each artist has a way to create that. And my way is that is chaos, is playfulness, laughter about ourselves. And it's like Lauren Hard always said, the people, they look at us and they think, oh, how stupid this couple are. And they laugh they laugh of them. I don't know. It's not at in the sense that pointing like that, but they laugh. But in the reality, they are laughing about themselves. It's like a reverse. So, and it's not just about laughing. The clown work being more specific, it's so there's a whole variety, a range of possibilities of just touching or pulling the carpet, provoking, and the big laughter, and that is physical. People laugh together, they get emotional together. So I think if I see everything I did many things, principally illumined this whole way, so many years. Basically, is this, is how you possibility the human relation be more not crystallized in a small window in the day of someone, this hour, some hours that we are together. So as a creative, this is my aim. And I discovered that later on, of course. And then there are many possibilities to do that.
Naomi,
I just want, I've got my hand up.
Yes.
I've got my hand up. No, I just wanted to add, and it is, for me, it's very much a revolutionary, it's a small revolutionary act in which you can experience this kind of freedom, and another way of being in the world, experiencing the world. But that's not what I wanted to say. I just remembered something that is about Ricardo, which I thought was very nice, that is an image that connects how the person and the creator, the artist, work together. I mean, he's told this story a lot, but I'm going to tell because he can elaborate. But when he went to create his clown show La Scarpetta, which was directed by Nanni Colombaioni in Italy, you then correct, Ricardo, if it's not exactly what I'm saying, but he went there for Nanni to direct the performance. And of course, you imagine you're going to arrive and you're going to go to the studio, and then the director, master, great clown master, is going to say, oh, show me what you have. And, then he's going to say, oh, we can shape it like this. And Ricardo got there, and there was no work in the studio, and there was no rehearsal. And basically, Ricardo spent, a week? I don't know, 5 days a week or so. No, I know, but the first period, or maybe it was longer, helping Nanni in the house, helping him to paint something that needed painting, to fix a fence, to fix a light. Well, you've probably got more examples. He went around fixing things in Nanni's house. And after this, he'd done this, he'd been the helper, and the odd jobs for however many days. Then Nanni said, okay, now I know you now. I understood. And on top and from that, he built the performance, right? It's not like that.
Exactly, yes. He started like that. In the first 3 days, he would see one number that I did, and okay, stop, come to change a bulb. Then all these odd jobs. And in 3 days, he said, okay, Ricardo, you are very, I know you. You don't do anything right. Everything you do is just chaos. You don't manage to, but you never give up. You are always happy, and let's do and try to, for example, from the beginning, when we open the meeting now, I'm trying to put myself and the cat together. And I don't manage because, look, you know, I'm not satisfied that I'm covering the cat. But if I do that, comes my, you know that. It is, oh, a door is much better. There is a poetic meaning, you know, but so it's that. It's so incredible how connects who you are and what you do, no?
So I
Yeah.
gotta follow up now. You both have spoken at directly and then also indirectly about this thing called Lume. What is this thing called Lume, Ricardo? Pull us up to speed.
Yeah, Lumi was, I think, a big dream of our master, who was our teacher, who was Luiz Otávio Bournier. He was from here, from Campinas. When he was 17 years old, more or less 15, he put in his head that he wants to learn. It's someone selling eggs outside. I'm sorry. It's with a big noise here. Oh, eggs, eggs. Yes, sorry. So good eggs. He said he
As
put
long
in his
as they're
head.
not going to throw on us the eggs,
Yes,
no?
I hope
Because
so. Yes. That he wants to learn pantomime. So he went to the Aliança Francesa, how you say in English, Alliance Française, here, and they had all the films. Film. Marcel Marceau, numbers and the sketches and all that. So from 15 years old, like he spent like 3 years learning by heart all the technique and the scenes, and he became like very good. So he went to France to study with Marceau. There, to earn money, he worked as a translator for this in Paris, for these shows of samba and dancers, no, that the French, they love that from Brazil, no. So and there one day in one rehearsal, he met Jean-Louis Barrault. So like the guy was Luiz Otávio was so, and they talked and said, you came to learn mum, so go to work with the master, Etienne Decroux, the creator of the corporeal mime, modern mime. And so he went, he spent then, cutting short, 11 years there. And then he worked with Marceau, Decroux, then Lecoq, then Goulier, then Grotowski, Eugênio Barba, all the Japanese like Yves Le Breton, and then Japanese, not Le Breton, but the No Theater, the Katakali, all this physical material, masks, Sartori. And then he came back to Brazil. He was 10 years, he was like 27 years old. And he came with the idea of creating a center or a space where the actor, the performer, could investigate his craft. So that was an idea, was not to create a company. But, and then he met Simeone, he is the first actor of Lumi, and they start in the university here, University of Campinas. So from the beginning, it was these two ways. It's a research center and a normal company. I arrived 2 years after, and my big passion was already the clowning. So then this was incorporated, this research. And then now next year we will be 40 years old, Lumi. We are, Naomi said she's 27 years in the group. The others are 30 something. I will be like 38, Simi 40. And so it's a project who is like very deep, you know, it's not horizontal, but it's always renewing, recreating how you are together after so many years. And then like savoring, drinking from all the traditions and kind of theaters, we created our own way to do that, because that was important from the beginning. He said, Luiz Otávio said, I can teach you many things, but I want you to discover what I want to propose, how we do. We can take from there, but we don't repeat. we create our own way, and that is a bit our mentality until today. And then when you said in the beginning, oh, all these words, like performer, clown, director, teachers, it's because we do all that. He would say also like, okay, we have a privilege. Well, in the beginning, the privilege would be staying 10 hours in a room every day, no weekends, no holidays, anything with the three, and not earning anything. It's just, he would say sometimes for people, oh, Ricardo is a perfect actor. He works like a beast. And then I just put him in my car, I drive, I open the window and he gets the wind. He doesn't need food. It's like, we were crazy, So, but then he said, we have this privilege of being able to do this project, this idea. And then we are creating our very small branch of tradition in the whole tree of tradition. But then we have the responsibility of giving that, of passing to other people. In the same way, how we believe, like how you help other people to find or to develop their own work, their own way, that. So basically Loom is that. So it's a big center. Nowadays we have, I don't know, I couldn't tell you how many people we have this connection with us. Like in Brazil, so many groups and artists, and outside Brazil, it's all now partners, that we work together in the same level, in this, that we keep this, like we are older sister, older brother, let's say, and okay, you are doing that, so let's do together. And our
it's a network. It's such it's like the roots of a tree, it's or a forest maybe, and the roots, and they spread and spread, and they converse with the other trees, and they and slowly build up this organic system, that coexists. It's amazing. It's very beautiful.
And it's made, it's made by 7 individuals, because then after our 10 years together, the three, me, Simeone, and Bournier, unfortunately, he died very, very young. So became just the two, me and Simeone, and we had the young ones who were working with us. We come, you come, and then came Naomi. But it's like that. Now we are 7, and it's like that. It's 7 very different people, very hard, like very stubborn. Yes, 7 is good, And we want to go like that, and then you need to how we, and that. So we go here, and sometimes we go independently doing other stuff.
I'm so surprised to hear there may be strong personalities involved.
Oh yes, yeah. So we create, Charles. Because we speak about circus. Also, it's a kind of, we create a kind of circus family, in the sense that we don't live together, but we in many years, in some periods, we were together like 24 hours, because it was, and traveling also. That is,
I love, oh gosh, I love it.
One day you will come here to visit us, no?
I'll be the 8th.
You'll be the 8th. Yes.
I have a question now for you, Naomi. It's true, you're the younger sibling, it sounds like, of the I'm sort of intrigued, and you can answer this in the context of Lume as well, or even some of your own individual projects, if there are things called individual projects. Who are you? What's some of your own creative production, Naomi?
Okay. So it's very interesting, just leading on from what Ricardo was saying, because Lomi is this, it's something really just very unusual in so many aspects. and I just, before I talk specifically about my own project, I think it's very telling for me. It's very curious that, and in a way, there's a kind of cycle here. If you see that Bournier, he went to Europe, to have all these references, European references, the masters, the technique, the sources, the source of all this technique and art, and came back to Brazil. He created something so unique here that, and for me as a European born and someone who, I was born in London. I grew up, seeing theatre in London. I did theatre at university in London, and then I did Gaulier, and then I went to Lecoq. So I was very much part of this tradition. When I knew Lumi first through Ricardo, who was the first actor that I met in the UK at the time, it was so remarkable to me what they did. It was and I, and for me, I wanted to leave behind that tradition to study with them, because it was something I felt so innovative and transforming. So going back to, so some of the remarkable aspects of Lume is that Lume is very much about, there's a lot of paradoxes within it. So it's a collective, and we're looking for the encounter and as Ricardo said, the collective experience, but it starts from the individual. So it's very much about each actor, performer finding their own potential. You cannot rely on, it's not just being part of the group. And that journey to becoming an autonomous artist, even though you're within a collective, is very, very challenging. And as I came, as you said, I was the last. This was very hard for me because everyone else was already, on their way. They had their shows, their research, their speciality, their kind of investigation. They knew who they were. And I was like, who am I?
Just listening all the time. Go and find yourself. No.
Yeah. And curiously enough, now I will get to talk specifically about I think one project. Curiously enough, I had been to study with Philippe Gaulier, and I was young and inexperienced and immature in a way, at that time. And I was very keen on being, a very serious theater person, actor, and doing the great text, and yeah. And I got interested in physical theater, but it was still, but it's going to be theater, it's going to be serious. It's going to be serious. It's going to be deep. And when I went to Gaulier, it opened up to me this world of clowning, that Gaulier was, he'd come from Lecoq, but he himself was a clown. That, that was his whole being is, he is a clown, in his life and his teaching, and that is who he is. And of course, I had this bit, I looked at and thought, oh, a clown, why would you want to be a clown? That's not, what is that, if you want to be a serious theater, artist. And it was really shocking for me when I confronted this place that I did not want to go to, in my, and we put a lot of masks and a lot of barriers in our ego, basically, the ego is there saying, oh, I'm not gonna have people laugh at me, like, what? And yet, when I went to Gaulier, all the amazing performers were also amazing clowns. That spirit of play and of embracing their ridiculousness and who they are and being so free with that, And I realized that it was fundamental to have that experience to be a good performer, no matter what language or aesthetic you chose. And basically, in another way, I can say I was bitten by the bug, you know, the clown bug, and that was kind of it. After that, I went on this journey also to discover, and of course, it was amazing when I met Ricardo, and through him, Lumi's work, and it had both. This was also incredible because everyone had a really strong actor training, you know, physical work, voice work, you know, text work, presence, you know, doing all kinds of different types of theater, and the clowning as well, you know, as a kind of two sides of the coin. And I think my journey then, my own personal project in discovering my way of clowning, which is obviously different because, you know, we're all different. It was more of it wasn't so clear to me. It took me longer to discover this place. But I was working on it. And eventually, obviously, with all the years of training with Lumi as well, and eventually I had contact with a teacher director, Sue Morrison from Canada, Toronto. She's very well known for Clown Through Mask. She teaches a lot in North America, and I had the privilege to work with her first in France, and then she came to Brazil in 1999. And after that, I was sort of very, very, I felt very attracted to her way of working. It made a lot. It meant a lot to me that she was had this amazing experience, this master. But the fact that she was a woman, that resonated with me on a different level. It's not so common. I mean, now more and more, you know, and especially within the clowning world. So that kind of opened up a different channel of exploration with her. And then I made a show with her in 2003 through 2003 to 4. So this year is 20 years that I'm celebrating the creation of the show with her, called The Non-Place of Agatha Chainik. It basically was very much about my story as a person, but very wrapped up in a clown narrative about survival, about, you know, how do we survive exactly this idea of, I get to a place, I don't speak the language, you know, nobody knows me, don't have my family, you know, also it's about my origins, you know, my family were Jewish immigrants from Lithuania that came to the United Kingdom at the end of the 19th century, you know, so I have this whole baggage of Jewish culture, you know, my family that spoke Yiddish, which is why Agatha Chainik is a Yiddish name. And there's a lot of elements also of the Jewish culture, of this kind of and that's not the only time, you know, that a lot of people said, oh, you're like a female Woody Allen. So there's a lot of kind of anxiety and nervousness and not fitting in and not knowing if you're doing the right thing. And then I got the double on the double, because there was the Jewish side with being British, and, you know, British people, you know, I'm so sorry. Eternally embarrassed. And so basically all this angst of, you know, actually being alive and surviving despite all these things, which is feeling so inadequate, just inadequate. This all fed into this show, which is why it's called The Non-Place. because in one point I was improvising with Sue and I kept putting myself inside a bucket, and I would put the bucket on my head, and she said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I want to stay in here. I just want to be in a non-place with no one looking at me and no one speaking to me, and I just want to stay in this bucket forever," you know.
Oh gosh, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I have just now gone on this massive journey with you. I need to see this show. But can I, as you continue that conversation, it's
Yeah.
as it's as if we're on an episode looking at creation and research creation. So I'm wondering, as you keep speaking, Naomi, if you can anchor some of this now, that project or other things. What do you call research? What do you call creation? And Ricardo, I'm coming to you after Naomi.
You're giving him more time to think about it. He's gonna, you see, he's gonna come up with the perfect answer, huh?
The right answer, huh?
The right answer. Yeah. Now this is the problem. You start talking about the clowning, and they just
And then look what I did. And look what I
and then
did.
you just go, no, go away, go away.
Yeah, so do you
So,
give a definition? Do you have definitions? Do you work?
sure. So I'm gonna I'm gonna ask for some help. No, curiously, because I knew you were gonna ask. And I came across something amazing the other day, and it just made me think about this when you said about creation. One of my ultimate heroes, and I think, you see, when I heard clowning, words are very curious, because when you say clown, everyone imagines the big shoes, the wig, and that is all so reduces so much, something that is so powerful. Sometimes I feel our words are not the right words. How do we define something like that? But anyway, one of my all-time heroes, and before I even knew that clowning existed, except I only understood later, that this person was just an absolute genius clown. But one of my all-time heroes, since when I was a child, is John Cleese of Monty Python. And I used to watch Fawlty Towers as a child in England. And there came a point when my parents thought they should not allow me to watch it, because my reaction was because I would start laughing. And then I would laugh and I would laugh. And then I would be crying at the end in agony of what this man was going through. And it's very curious, like Ricardo said, it's physical, the experience I had. This was just a TV comedy, but it was unbelievable where he put himself, So the risk, anyway, that it's connected to what I'm about to say, because I found this mini video the other day on Instagram of John Cleese talking about what it is to be creative. And it was very interesting because he said that creativity is nothing to do with IQ. It's nothing to do with intelligence. And that the studies that have been done by scientists is that the most creative people and the people that can engage in creation the best, whatever that means, are people who are able to enter into a state of play. People who are able to enter into a state similar to the state we used to know as children. And I think that's just an amazing definition, because it's not what you do, it doesn't matter, because you can be creative even if you're the head of a corporation. You can be creative as a mother, can be creative, as a plumber. But this creativity, and then it, I think, puts me to another point of creation is the way to connect in a non-rational way, to get away from just the rational and the logical, and that, that there's right and wrong. And even science, there is a whole area which is so creative. I mean, mathematics is incredibly creative after a certain level. Then you need to be able to play with it. You know, you need to be able to imagine what could be if, you know, and what if we do this? And at the same time, and I like also, this is the last thing I'm going to say about creation is the double, exactly thinking about the double, maybe it's being a scientist and a child at the same time, because we have to be able to be rigorous in our investigation and at the same time play with that and have fun and have pleasure. And this is Monsieur Philippe Gaulier. I first heard this in 1995, I think, but it has never got out of my mind when he used to say, oh, but there is no pleasure. And if there is no pleasure, it's a piece of
shit. So, yes, I know where you're coming from.
I spoke about creation, but I mean, research, there's a lot of connection, but I think let's pass on.
Oh, it's now yours, Ricardo.
Good. It's there. Of course, there are many similarities, even in the people she said, you know. I love also John Cleese and what he said about creativity is so clever and pleasure, no, of Goulier and Bose and Basel when he just enjoys himself, no, it's just so the base of everything. Like I said in the beginning, no, that I thought was part of my work is this, and what I look for in the pieces I made is this playfulness. No, going back to the beginning, when I was 15 years old, I was doing a play. It was my first, like from that point, I went in a straight line to do what I do today. So we were doing a play in a school, in my school. It's a Brazilian text, comical. The committee was always with me there, no? And I played a kind of clown, but with text. It's a traditional figure in Brazil, the popular culture. And there was another character, was the devil. The devil had a trident. Oh. And in one scene, we fought, me and the devil. We rehearsed the whole day, the whole year, just to play once for the whole school, the families and everything. So my friend in all the rehearsals, when we fought, the devil would get very angry and bang the trident on the ground, and give a speech. In the moment of the performance, when arrived at this moment, I was fighting, doing the same like we rehearsed. And then when he went to do that, my body, my foot just slide like that and on my foot, no? And there was amazing what I felt. Everybody laughing. And I didn't know what to do anymore. I forgot my lines. My body was totally engaged, like jumping. The devil was lost, totally lost. He didn't, and it was very funny. So then later on, I said, okay, there is a body that is a body in playfulness that you can work. Exactly like John Cleese said, in the sense of creativity, you can access, like the indigenous clowns, they have that present. So we have this potential. So this for me is anything I do has to have this for me as a performer. And I can say today that after all this travel in the work, let's say, more and more I am a clown. It doesn't matter what I do, if it's serious or not, but always there is this point, this look of this point of view, let's say, this place from where you see the world. So this is important. So then I worked a lot in the street, who gave me a lot in the beginning. I was 17 years old, and I went to the street as a clown. I had no idea how to be a clown. No, there was no workshops, anything. And I just improvised with the street, with the lamp post, with how to cross the street, to sit in a bench and all this, the cars. And that was 3 years, every Saturday. Wow. And then this comes also, everything I do always in the structure. And everyone, we build structures, no? But for me, the structure is just, how you say, it's
a pretext.
It's
an excuse.
To where I can go back, no? But there needs to have a space where the unknown gets to the body, for the people, for the ones who are there. And also I see more and more this kind of the audience, more and more like as participants, actively, not necessarily coming to the scene, but in a way how you involve more. So after we had a project in Lumi, so that this was very take to the maximum of the potencia, that was Purge, that was a street show that was so crazy, because it was Lumi, Conflax from Glasgow, and Legs on the Wall from Sydney. The idea was to do a big show that would happen simultaneously in Campinas and in Glasgow, the same performance with some difference, nuances, and live transmission. So one scene from Glasgow would interfere here and vice versa. So in Brazil, this was 100 performers on the ground, 20 performers coming up and down buildings, 2 orchestra, one samba school, one metal band, and so dancers, clown, theater people, something like that. So this was where we could go with this kind of playfulness in the space, in the body, in the narrative that's not linear, it's no fragmented. So after that, then...
And just to say, oh my God, the dimension, those were the performers and the audience that we had, no, on the first day, 12,000 people.
And in the other, like there was 11,000 in another performance. Yeah, it's a lot of, and very close, no, the contact and everybody. So this, and then, okay, more years, I did other things. I directed this with Patrick Nolan from Legs on the Wall. I did the general direct. Naomi was directing some parts because it was a whole army of people, no? We needed, Naomi and the Chris from Lumi also. So, and then after some years, I said, okay, I want to do another. I worked with masters. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit chaotic, but I cannot not say. Bournier, who was my first, who showed me like how personal the clown should be, how human it is, no? Then Nani Colombayoni, who brought me inside of this beautiful imaginary world of the creation from the tradition and absurd and all free and everything. Then Sue Morrison, also, who brought this idea of why you do that, what kind of laughter you bring. And then later on, I did the work with the indigenous people in Brazil, the Craos, was the tribe, who brings the clown work for the daily life. And so it's so influenced, no? And then, okay, I want to do a new show. And so what I do. I say, okay, I don't want a structure. I want just the clown existing in the moment, in a space with the people who came to meet him. And that is the performance, where I want to create directly, very specifically, my aim is to create in the people the same playfulness that I have as a performer. So the audience chooses 5 objects, and there is no structure in the lightning, in the lights, in the sound. Naomi always, when we do here, for example, she's the sound creator. So
the DJ, I'm the
DJ.
DJ.
So she just provokes, so creates an atmosphere, and many times I just sit and I see 30 people in the scene just going crazy and putting themselves in this creational state. For example, in Glasgow, when I did in Glasgow this show, there are some pictures. Was the Scotch people, they are good, you know, they can go far, you know, my God. There is a picture, for example, there is a kind of audience, some people sitting in a sofa, because it was like this, like in Glasgow, in Edinburgh, they have, no, I was in Edinburgh, like a church, and people sit in the sofa, and I was upside down on top of them. So in Mexico, 200 people, 100 people came to the scene to take a picture with me, for example. So it's such a, and then when I thought, oh my God, what I'm doing what I did when I was 17 years old, when I went to the street every Saturday. And it's me, you know, as a clown. People, relation, improvisation, just being there and enjoy myself, like the masters, the John Cleese, for example. So basically now what I'm doing a lot in what I think when I am creating with me, myself, or with other people is a bit this.
So it sounds, with my little ears on, mapping the creation and research aspect, that's all happening all the time. You're starting with a question, you're starting with a structure, and the creation is a part of it, and you're doing the miracle of bringing other people with you. So there's this other thing that I discovered with you that I don't know that I knew of the structure. You're also at a university. So this magical universe that you're crafting and creating, both there in Brazil and now I've discovered in Australia and in Glasgow. You're also affiliated with the university. You're actually called a research unit, right? Or something like that. So tell me about that. Tell me how this, tell me, yeah, tell me. Do you want to take it, Naomi?
Sure, I can take a bit of it. Ricardo can fill in the gaps. Yeah, it's actually insane when I think about it, because it's all, you know, there's something that I love. And when we talk about creativity, in fact, I wrote this as a mental note when I read what you were thinking about, is I love the power of the, oh God, acaso, Ricardo, help me in my native language.
Yes.
The
unexpected.
But it's the coincidence, and it's the power of the coincidence of what we can't control. You know, what the things that just happen, and it's curious because Bernier came back to Brazil and he thought, oh, I want to do this project. And they were starting Unicamp at the time, was a new university. You correct me, Ricardo, it was a very new university. They did not have a theatre department at the time, but they wanted to start a theatre department. And of course, Bernier had arrived with all this baggage from Europe and all this training and all this, you know, all these resources. And I think it was a way, again, kind of just like, oh, you know, it'd be good to have him on board. And he sort of just put it as a kind of condition, like, okay, you know, I'll be on board to help create the theatre department, but I want my own, you know, my own what? I just want my own project, basically. no, a bit like that. And he didn't get, and they trained in the church building in exchange for, they had to call the bingo on bingo night for the community in exchange for using the church room for them to train at 5 a.m. So it wasn't that the university was kind of like, giving him a big fat funding package with a theater or anything, but they kind of just signed, he said, I just want this project. And they just said, okay. And it kind of gave it a home. It gave Lumi a home, an address. But then basically he went on, Brunier, and I think the greatness of it is that he was within the academy, but his work was 100% practical. He was not interested in theorizing at all at that point, and for him, research was very, when we talk about research, or a scientist, of course, does research. For him, research into the body of the actor was as serious, except it wasn't very, there wasn't so much being done, I think, in that way. And he knew that when I say really serious, that this wasn't something you do in a year or even 2. So for Brunier, his original plan was a research project that would last for 20 years. So when Simeone joined and when Ricardo joined, they had to agree. Will you give 20 years? Now, how many people between us are crazy enough to just say, okay,
Sure,
let's go.
Sure, I'll do that. Let's go for 20 years without any prospect of, what would come of this. Maybe, because it wasn't like you were saying, hey, would you like to do a performance? Let's do a performance together, but it'll be a really long process, of a year. How long can you have 2 years? No, 20 years of working in a studio without any clear objective of a product. This was very brave, very crazy, and I think laid the ground for Lumi to really create something that was very unique. And then once this was done, once he had applied this idea in practice, and all these hours of work, that no one in the university knew what was going on, but that I think, they continued to sign that, okay, you can keep going. Once that had kind of gained a very substantial body, literally, in the body of the actors, result. When Brunier started to show this to people, and after the first performance with Simi was after how many years, Ricardo Kelbilin?
I think 5 years.
Yeah, which was a first experiment, people were blown away by what these actors were doing, in a similar way to what Grotowski's actors had been exploring back then. It was very, very, there was a huge investment, and you could really see this. And so I think, and Brunier, he did a doctorate writing about this work, so he already gave a certain recognition of the importance within the institution, academic institution, of having something written, a reflection on the practice, But then he died, and I think that we were also very lucky that after 10 years, Lumi was sort of like a fact on the ground, and it had started to gain recognition. And I think the university recognized that and were willing to continue to invest. But over the years, we've had to fight hugely for that to be recognized. So, there was Lumi, part of the university. It's the nucleus for interdisciplinary theatre research, the University of Campinas. And after the first 10 years, there was only one or two people that were actually hired by the university. No, Ricardo, one and a half. So all the others did all the work and the research voluntarily. So, you know, a research nucleus for a theatre laboratory with no actors, you know, so this was all then, there was a lot of work that we've done with help from other professors and people who came to coordinate Lumi. There was one particular, Susie Sperber, who was someone from literature, from the literature department, that she fought the battles, the internal battles.
Marco Bortoleto also.
Marco, to bring this idea that a practical research center, what do you need? You know, that you cannot do without. You need space and you need people. So then that's what we have today. And then, you know, other things like, for example, academic, we get, as a Lumi, as a research nucleus, we have to obviously make reports every year. What are you doing? What are you producing? And they judge that academically. So one of our members, Renato, who is very academically motivated as well through his own interest. He loves writing. So he's someone who's published a lot about our work. He has a doctorate, a postdoctorate. You know, he enjoys that aspect as well, but always starting with the practice, you know, coming from the practice. You know, he fought the battle to have a performance, a theatre performance, be recognized as a piece of research, a product, in the same way that an article or a book.
Oh, lovely.
So all of that has, you know, we have fought to be recognized, that it's not only it's not only writing an article or being part of or giving a lecture, or, you know, it's not the only way you can prove that your research is valid and substantial. So we've been, you know, finding the ways to, I think, also create a small revolution within the way the university and the institution thinks about work and
research, no?
Exactly. And since we travel all over the world, you know, we've been to almost 30 countries, you know, teaching, performing, directing, and always it's Lumi, University of Campinas, Lumi, you know, so this is also taking the name of the university, and people are like, wow, you have this in Brazil. Brazil, they support this kind of work. You know, this hardly happens. So it's I think there's a fair exchange there. You know, that we are. And it's not. You know, there's a lot of negotiation always, but I think now I think it's fully recognized that Lumi has earned its place, you know.
Naomi, can I just add think that everything we talked about our work, and that's in the, let's say, in the artistic community, or in where every artist exists, I think was I cannot not say about that, speak about that, is like this, what she said is like to help that the academic world recognize that a research can be very personal, not just you study a subject that is outside you. So as an artist, you can do your how you arrived in this performance, what kind of journey you did. This is your research. And then you reflect about that. Of course, then you dialogue with a philosopher, with another artist. So Lumi, I think, and then the work of Luis Otávio, Renato, Ana Cristina, and Raquel inside Lumi, who really, they love this academic world and environment. And so then in Unicamp and in other universities, you can, as an artist, go and do like a post-graduation, and they will not ask from you, okay, you need to study Nietzsche and then ta-da-da. No, what do you do? What is your art? What is your craft? And then from that, so that I think was a very good thing.
So I'm taking notes, and I'm hoping that administrators worldwide are listening to this. So because it's because it is a brilliant way of recentering what it is that we do when we talk about craft and research. So Ricardo, as you were in the middle of talking, and I think that I do have a question for you. So what's your recommendation for some artist person who's wandering around saying, I want to make sure that I have research create in line with my creation? Do you have one recommendation for that human who comes to you and says,
Yes, I think is what it's important, even though nowadays, because of the way life is now with time and the speed of the life, I know it's not something easy to do, but I think what helped us there so many years ago was this thing of, okay, I want to do something, so I needed to give time. And for that, of course, there are some sacrifice. I think you need to find a way to have a continuity in your work and kind of daily work, even if it's what is possible. Do you know? You need to give the step that you can afford, you can keep. Not, I'm going to work 5 days a week, 10 hours a day. No, I'm not able to do that. It's not possible maybe today. So how I, like a musician, do you know, if they need to practice, because no, they need to do. So it's the same for us. Our body, our minds, just find a way as much as you can in your daily life to practice. And then, of course, you need to learn with someone, you need to do a workshop. But how I do, how is my way? It's not easy because it's like agriculture, you know, like you plant there, but you need to water, to prune, it's like it's a craft. It's our work, I think, as a performer, is much closer to the shoemaker than from the philosopher, I think. It's more, of course, there are similarities, but is the shoemaker. You need to cut the leather, you need to know the tools. So investigating, to be curious, to keep this curiosity, and then finding partners. Because, okay, it is very lonely, our work, because at the end of the day, you need to find your own way, but you need to find with who you dialogue. And maybe you will work, you can work with someone from some time, and then you find another one, or then it's longer. But I think this dynamic helps a lot.
So there's that. I bet Naomi's got some recommendation. This artist comes to you and says, what do I do? How do I do it?
I was writing notes. I was writing secret notes.
People, take the pen now.
Yes, take your pen and write whatever comes to mind. But because also I was like, he's saying everything. Oh, there's going to be nothing left. There's always something. There's always more. So that's the first thing, is that the journey is never ending. So I think if you want to, if you want to investigate in a creative way, I think it helps when you think of it, you're in there for the long term, I love this. We've had a lot of contact over the years with the Buto dancers and Buto masters, and this philosophy of, you never stop dancing. You can be, Kazuono was in the, when he couldn't walk, and then in the hospital bed before he died, and he could only move one finger, but he could dance his entire universe in a finger. So this for me is very important. So it's a journey. It's a journey. We're not here to arrive. Like life, we're here for the journey. that also helps to put things in perspective, that since it's all part of the process, maybe you don't get to where you want to go in one process, but then you can do another and another. It's a long investigation. I think it's a long investigation of understanding profoundly who we are as human beings, but more than human beings, as living beings on, in this planet. So this is on a wider level. I for me personally, more and more today, Ricardo mentioned, but I find more and more inspiration in indigenous cultures, especially here in Brazil, where you have so many still surviving, by the skin of their teeth, the indigenous communities here who have another connection with life, with existence. It's not just about us, me, my daily needs and desires and wishes. Humans need an awful lot, and so I think that this creative process to try to find connection. I would say, how can you, with as Ricardo said, with people, through different dialogue with different practitioners, with different masters, and not in the masculine, male, female, investigate this connection really on a deeper level, a connection between our mind, body, and heart, or mind, body, heart, and soul, and how because I think that often we compartmentalize. So either we think about it too much, or maybe, of course, if we're physical, we do a lot of, we want to work with the body, but eventually we have to find the place where these things come together. But our society is predominantly more and more overrun and dominated by technology, and therefore very little physical effort, and now even less mental effort as well. So I say these things, the mind, body, and heart, because we are being pulled towards a way of interacting with life that we are disconnecting more and more from this. So I would say that as artists and performers, we have to keep trying to get back to this connection, So wow. Definitely through the body, through the physical, because I think it's harder from here, but when we're engaged in the body, the connection can come, I think. And finally, I would just use these two words. One is risk. We have to always be trying to take risks. Otherwise, I think we don't discover anything if we don't take risk. And opposite of what the society, and I think the whole movement of industrialization and technologization of our lives, which we're always looking how to make our lives more comfortable, less work, less effort. Alexa, turn on the light. We need to learn to make fire as artists.
So is that then the lead up to this final question that I'm so I'm so thrilled to hear what your answer is going to be, because this conversation has been so fire making for me, to pick up the word. How can we make this world a better place then, as researchers, scholars, crafters, artists? Is that it? We go to fire?
Fire, water, earth, and air. No, but
yeah, I think.
How do we make the world a better place?
Yeah, it's no, what she was talking is very true, and we are more and more becoming a part of who we really are, no, as a living being, as an animal. So I think to make a better world is being constantly remind us that in the sense that the four elements are inside us. So we, as an artist, we needed to work with this to remind people that we are more than just the external things. We are an animal that lives together. And for that, we need to respect the other, respect nature in all aspects, our nature, the nature. So it's just one whole thing. And of course, it's not easy because no, we need to push against the whole development that is going in the other direction. And for that,
yeah, you have to swim against the tsunami. No, that's almost that's hard
but
work.
that makes what we do, and not when I say we, it's the whole tribe, let's say, in all the forms, the performing arts, and all the visual and the music and the writing, all kinds, make us this idea of swimming against very important. I think in the human history, always in the crisis moment, the artist becomes a central figure, and of course the clown, the buffon, all the family of the laughter, it's fundamental now, because what always said, body, mind, imagination, failures, what we think we are, but we are not able, inadequacy, and being together and laughing together. So that is human. So I think this is our function, let's say now.
I'm so you're talking about laughter, but look what you're making me do. Um, brilliant. And I also hear the circle where we started that conversation is now where we end the conversation. And it's been a beautiful one with the symphony of reds and fire and earth and sky and all of those things that I'm going to be taking with me. And I'm thinking other people are going to be taking them with them as well. So all I can do is thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles, so much for asking, inviting
this
us.
Opportunity to talk. No, that is in using the technology and is doing what we just said. No, so it's possible.
I hear you, and I'm going to take you with me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.